Hello, my dear friends. How are you today? Welcome to our English learning video from Slow English Stories. Today, I have a beautiful and mysterious story for you. It's about a young girl named Maya and her two best friends, Saman and Nimal. They discover a scary secret in an old, abandoned house hidden deep in the mountains. In this video, you will learn 5 special English phrases. Each phrase is highlighted so you can remember it easily. These phrases will help make your English sound more natural and fluent. I will clearly explain each phrase at the end with simple examples. Are you ready? You can shadow with me. Listen to each sentence carefully and repeat after me. Let's begin our story. My name is Maya. This is the story of my scary trip with my two best friends, Saman and Nimal. We have been friends since we were children, and every year we go on an adventure together. Last month, we wanted to escape the noisy city, the heavy traffic, and the busy streets. We wanted peace and quiet. After searching online for many hours, Saman found an old house in the misty hills. The website showed a beautiful, lonely house surrounded by green forests. We could rent the entire place for the weekend, and the price was incredibly cheap. "Why is it so cheap?" I asked, looking at the faded yellow photos on the screen. "A house this big usually costs a lot of money." "Maybe because it's old and far away from the city," Saman said with a laugh. "It's a bargain. Maybe people are afraid of the long drive, but we are brave, right?" We packed our bags, filled the car with snacks, and drove for 5 hours into the mountains. The roads became narrow and winding. The trees grew taller and thicker. As darkness fell, the house looked even more mysterious. It was a massive building with gray stone walls and many dark, narrow windows that looked like watching eyes. The garden was a wilderness. It was completely overgrown, full of tall, yellow grass and ancient, twisting trees that seemed to reach out for us in the twilight. "This place looks like a movie set for a horror film," Nimal said, clutching his bag tightly to his chest as we stood at the front gate. "Don't be silly, Nimal," I told him, though my heart was beating fast against my ribs. "It's just an old house that needs a bit of love and cleaning. Let's go inside before it starts raining." The heavy wooden door creaked loudly as we pushed it open. Inside, the air was cold and smelled of old paper, damp wood, and dust. We explored the ground floor using our flashlights. The furniture was covered in white sheets, making them look like ghosts in the dark. We chose our rooms and unpacked our things. After a quick dinner of sandwiches and hot tea, we were exhausted and went to sleep early. But in the middle of the night, the house changed. I was sleeping deeply when a sound woke me. Thump, thump, thump. It was steady and heavy. Someone was walking upstairs. But how was that possible? All our bedrooms were on the ground floor, and the wooden staircase leading to the second floor was blocked by a heavy locked door. I sat up in bed, my skin feeling cold. I felt so scared and nervous that I couldn't breathe. I ran to the next room to wake up Saman and Nimal. "Did you hear that?" I whispered, my voice trembling in the dark. "What, Maya? It's 3 a.m, Saman asked, rubbing his eyes and yawning. The sound stopped the moment he spoke. We stood in the hallway, holding our breath, and listened for 10 minutes in total icy silence. Nothing. Against our better judgment, we decided to go back to sleep instead of leaving the house right then. We told ourselves it was just the house settling, or perhaps a stray animal on the roof. The next morning, the mystery grew even deeper and more confusing. When we walked into the kitchen to make breakfast, all our things were in different places. My backpack was sitting in the middle of the kitchen table. Nimal's history books, which he had left by his bed, were scattered all over the kitchen floor. Saman's clothes, which he had neatly folded in his suitcase, were now draped over a dusty wooden chair in the corner of the dining room. "Did you guys move my things?" Nimal asked, his face pale. "No," Saman and I said at the same time. I had no idea what was happening, but we cannot ignore this. This isn't the wind, and it isn't an animal. We must explore every inch of this house. We began our search in the library, the biggest room in the house. The walls were lined with thousands of books. We found old paintings of a woman with kind, sad eyes and a white dress. Behind a stack of dusty books on a high shelf, we found a bundle of old letters tied with a blue ribbon. I could read a little English, and the letters spoke of a woman named Kamala. She had lived here 50 years ago, all alone after her family moved away. The last letter struck me as odd. It wasn't addressed to anyone. It was like a riddle. It simply said, "I have hidden my heart's treasure in the only safe place left. Only the well knows the secret, but the mirror holds the key to the door that is not a door." The well! "I saw an old well in the backyard yesterday," Nimal shouted, his excitement replacing his fear. We ran out to the garden. Behind the house, hidden by tall weeds, was an old stone well covered with heavy, rotting wooden boards. A strange metallic smell came from the dark depths. "Should we look inside?" Nimal asked, stepping back carefully. "No way," Saman said, shaking his head. "That's dangerous. The wood might break and we could fall." But I was too curious to stop now. I felt like Kamala wanted us to find something. I carefully moved one board and peered down with my flashlight. The well was dry and quite shallow. At the bottom, partially covered by dry leaves and dirt, I saw something shiny reflecting the light. After finding a thick, dusty rope from the garden shed, I tied it to a tree and climbed down carefully. There, tucked into a small hole in the stone wall, I found a small metal box. We took the box inside and opened it. Inside were black and white photos of a happy family and a leather-bound diary. Kamala's diary. I flipped to the very last page, dated 1974. It said, "The greedy people from the village are coming. They think I am a weak old woman. They want to steal my gold coins. I must hide them behind the great mirror in the parlor. But first, the key must be found. It is hidden where the sun hits the floor at noon." We waited until exactly 12 p.m. A single beam of sunlight shone through a small hole in the roof and pointed directly at a loose floorboard near the fireplace. We lifted the board, and lo and behold, there was a small silver key attached to a ribbon. We ran back to the big room where the large golden mirror was hanging. It was massive and very heavy. Together, we pushed it aside with all our strength. The mirrors slid to the left, and there was a tiny wooden door built into the wall. We used the silver key to open it. Inside the wall was a secret room. It wasn't full of ghosts, but full of history. There were jars of gold coins, beautiful pearl jewelry, and a final note written in shaky handwriting. It asked the finder to take the treasure to the village temple to build a school for the local children. We realized then that Kamala's spirit was not trying to haunt us or hurt us. She was a protector. She moved our things and made those walking sounds because she was trying to wake us up and lead us to her story. She needed someone she could trust to finish her work. We gathered the treasure and took it to the village temple immediately. The head monk was moved to tears when he saw the diary. He told us Kamala was a legendary lady who had been very lonely but very kind. She had spent her life helping the poor until she became too old to leave her house. That night, for the first time since we arrived, the house felt warm. It was perfectly silent. There were no thumps, no moving bags, and no cold winds. At long last, Kamala's spirit was finally at rest, knowing her legacy would help the children of the village. We left the next day feeling brave, tired, and incredibly happy. Thank you for watching this story on Slow English Stories. Remember, sometimes scary things happen for a good reason. We just need to stay calm, be brave, and try to understand the truth. Vocabulary review. As darkness fell, a beautiful way to describe the transition from day to night. Example, as darkness fell, the stars began to twinkle in the sky. Against our better judgment, when you do something even though you feel it might be a mistake. Example, against my better judgment, I stayed up late watching movies. It struck me as odd when something feels strange, unusual, or suspicious.